So I found a mountain. Like I just looked on like all trails, found a mountain that I thought was a good grade. It was like a hill. It was like 700 feet, 800 feet of elevation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just hit it all the way up and down. I had no ski lift. So I was like, I guess I'll run down and hike up. Bro, it took like 36 hours of going just continual. It was like, it ended up being like 70 miles and then the 29,000 feet of elevation.
Jeez. 36 hours straight?
Yeah. So I stopped at one point because it was like pitch black, middle of the dark. And I was doing it in Eugene in Oregon, which is like a wooded area kind of. And there's like a cougar. I don't know what cougar, cat, or some sort of animal.
Mm-hmm.
It was like in the dark. I had my headlamp on and see its eyes just sitting in the trail. And I'm like, oh shit, like kind of keep going past, finish my lap. And then I come down and I see it kind of over here, like looking at me still. I'm like, oh, I'm taking a break. Like I'm killing my car, bro. I'm scared. So I went in my car for like 3 hours. At that point, it was like, I don't know, like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something. So I waited till sunrise and then went back out. But yeah, so other than that, it was straight. But I would see people like, because I started on like a Friday morning or Saturday morning, there was people like hiking it one day and I was still going the next day. And they're like, oh, you came back? I was like, man, I've been going like since yesterday when you saw me.
Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome to the Non-Genius Podcast. We hope that you guys are having an amazing week. Had a really awesome weekend. Today, we got a special treat for you guys. We got Trevor Howard in the house. What's up, Trevor?
What's up?
I know. Hate to make you feel so awkward, but dude, this is like your first podcast. We're really excited to have you.
You're putting the mic between us, bro. Normally it's face to face.
This is your first time up in the Northeast, right? I know you told me that you've been to Florida multiple times. I keep on thinking like this is your first time ever on the East Coast.
First time on the East Coast. Went to DC, now Delaware.
Yeah.
Showing me around.
I know.
Taking me to 35 unit owners.
What do you think of the Northeast?
Bro, honestly, it's pretty similar to the West Coast.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I haven't seen that much, but like we went in the city, like we have same size city as I'm from. Like it's similar prices to what we have. Like it's not super different.
Thank you for being here. So would you be able to tell us a little bit about your origin story, and if you want to go as far as back as you want, and then tell us about how you got into real estate as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, I got started in real estate because I was engineer, went 4-year degree, mechanical engineering degree, was working like as a project engineer, building missile silos, nuclear reactor structures. Sounds super cool, super boring. You just sit on an Excel spreadsheet. And I was trying to figure out how to not do that because I was just looking at everyone next to me. And it's like, you get promoted, you move to this desk, you get promoted, you move to the next desk. And then you see 10 years down the road and you get to be your boss who's, making like $100,000 and doesn't want to be there. So I was like, man, how do I not do this? Came across the FIRE movement. And you guys both know what that is, right? Yeah.
Oh, can you explain it?
FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, invest as much money into stocks as possible. And the idea of like, having passive income to live off of. So I came across that, was listening to it on podcasts, was like, sick. 10 years, I invest like 90% of my income. I'll have like $1 million. I'll live off like 40 grand a year. Because I was living off like, I don't know, like 8 to 12 grand a year at that point. Like, wow. Dude, nothing. Like I would go rent a room, pay $100 because the room wouldn't have a wall, go to Home Depot and build a wall for $100 so I could save like $200 a month on rent and like stuff like that. But figured out like doing that and then thought 40 grand was a ton of money. And then that was the plan. Came across Bigger Pockets like everyone does. Heard about house hacking, like read all the books and did all that stuff for like a year. Was scared to buy a house. Eventually bought one, rented out by the room, lived for free while making like $1,000 a month. And I was like, holy shit, this is the sickest thing ever. I'm making like 12 grand passive. And my whole plan was to hit the 40 grand. I was like, I need 4 houses and I already did it in 4 years. And that's when I started like learning. Once you buy your first deal, like you really start learning. I spent a full year like reading every book, listening to like every Bigger Pockets podcast. I'd sit there like for 8 hours a day at my desk and just started from the beginning and rolled through every single one. And like, I realized I learned more buying that first house than like listening to every podcast. Because once you actually look at the numbers, you're like, oh, that's what cash flow is, or that's what losing money is. And you really like start to learn it. But then went to my next house from there, just same thing, house hacked it, filled the first one with all my friends because I didn't know you could like just fill it with whoever. So I gave that a test run, filled it all like in a month. But first time I bought like a 5-bed home, then I was like, well, I'll just add a bedroom and cash flow more. Bought a 6-bed home. Did the same thing. So then I was cash flowing like, I don't know, $1,000 off each house while living for free still. I was like, this is the sickest thing ever. And then I was like, I'll just do this once a year forever. But after that, what'd I do? Oh, I became a broker after that because people were just asking me about it. Got my license, and I was like, did like 3 deals my first month brokering, which was like half my engineering salary at that point. I was like, oh, this is sick. Took like half that like amount of work. And then I learned like that's not how it goes most of the time. Like didn't do a deal for like 6 months after, but I quit my job and then I couldn't qualify for loans anymore. So I was like, didn't know how that worked fully at that point. Couldn't qualify for anything. So my whole plan of buying one a year on that was just like done. At that point, learned how to do creative finance and seller carries and partnerships. And then that's where it really like started buying more properties that way. Then, you know, bought 4-plex. And then I think my next deal after that was actually a 16 unit. And then I bought like a couple more triplexes, a couple more houses, then like a 14 unit, then like a 12, then more stuff scattered in between, and then like a 32 mixed between. So that's kind of how I got started. But yeah, just learning creative finance was the biggest thing, and partners.
Yeah.
It was crazy when you were talking about how you used to do missile silos.
Yeah.
And you're on Excel spreadsheet doing these calculations that are just like, what are these numbers even equating to?
Right.
Like you mess up like one little like 0.00001% of something, and something probably blows up, and it's like, well, I just killed this many people probably.
No. So that's not what I was doing. Bro, I was literally like, people give you plans and you go talk to the people on the floor welding stuff together, and you're like just managing it. So there's like, when you think engineer, it's like 1% of the engineers actually know how all that stuff works and are doing like all that. And then most of us, like me, like I'm just managing a project and like competent enough to follow people's directions. Like, so it's not as crazy as it sounds. Yeah. But learning math was like huge for underwriting and problem solving and just calculating like returns. Yeah. Like that was the biggest thing from that.
Because what I think of a real estate investor on Excel spreadsheet is literally like 100,000 divided by 12. Then divided by 30 days. Okay, this is how much I need to make every single day. And I was like, how much do I need to how do I equate that to houses and cash flow? And then all of a sudden, okay, cool. I got these houses that spit out 1,000. And it's like, how many houses do I need? And it's really so freaking simple. It's insane that it's like engineers don't just sometimes just play in their free time. Just like, well, I have the salary. If I were to figure out like, what are the other opportunities that equate to this salary, this pay per month? It's like, what other things could I be doing that doesn't burn my brain and makes me feel so tired and burnt out by the end of the day, every day? I don't know. Do you ever have conversations like that with your coworkers when you're back at the engineering firm?
Dude, it's no. Because I mean, I was like, 18, 22, 21 right out of college. So when I'm like learning finance at 21 and you have dudes who are like 50 and haven't even started saving money, and you're like trying to talk to them about finance, like it's like they don't comprehend. I'm like, what are you planning to do? Like you have like 3 kids and you have no money.
What are they doing?
I don't know. That's why I was like, bro, they were asking me for advice and I'm 21 and I'm like, well, I mean, I heard this on a podcast. Like, you should try that. So like you're asking a 21-year-old for advice and you're like, 50 years and you've been working for 30. It's like,
you were asking like what they were thinking?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out like, because I'm hearing this stuff. I'm like, oh, these people are older. They probably save money and invest and stuff. But it's like, some of them do, like some know stuff. And like some people at the office would have rentals and stuff. But you would see it's like the consulting companies that come in where it's the business owners. It'd be those dudes that have all the rentals and they'll have their consulting companies and all their other stuff. But like your normal workers, like not too many of them had rentals. But every once in a while when you're talking to enough people, there's some of them in there that do. Yeah. But most people don't save, don't invest, don't plan. Yeah.
So you said you took a whole year to gather all this knowledge. And I remember when I was at your house, you had all these books. And for the most part, you read like every single one. Yeah. Have you always been, I guess, that devoted to learning?
No, dude, it's just like the situation, like I just didn't want to be in the situation I was in. So I was like, how do I not do this? And that was like the path forward. So like, it could have been like business, real estate or whatever, but like real estate, it seemed attainable and like there was so much free information. So you start listening to Bigger Pockets and like they tell you what to do. Like Brandon would be like, hey, underwrite 100 deals. and you'll learn how to underwrite. So I would go on LoopNet and I'd underwrite 100 deals, and like I learned how to underwrite. And they'd throw out books too at the end of every podcast. So I'd be like, I just buy the audiobook, buy the book, and then like read it or listen to it. And it's like all the information to get started is just sitting there. Yeah. And it's literally like you could pick any of them and they all work. And it's just like pick one and then do the steps.
Yeah.
But most people just like, and I did that for a year, right? Like I could have bought a house way sooner, like after the first book I read, but I was scared. Like the first deal I did was the scariest deal out of all of them.
So one of the things that I think about when it comes to taking action is actually knowing what you're looking for. Sure, you could be like, yo, go underwrite 100 deals. Yeah. And then I'll be like, okay. And then, but then I get to the computer and I'm looking at the deals and I'm like, what the hell am I underwriting for? What am I trying to do? So it's like, how do you know what you're looking for? That's pretty much what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just doing those to learn how to underwrite, to do math. Because, like, underwriting an apartment complex versus underwriting, like, a house, like, it's not exactly the same, but it's the basic concepts are. So, I mean, I was just trying to learn, like, how to calculate returns. So, when I go buy a property, like, I know what my return will be. For most people starting out, though, like, I only had one option that I could think of. Like, I didn't know how to do a seller care. I didn't know how to do all this. Like, my option that I could think of was I buy a house and rent out the rooms. So, I was like, I'll do that. So like it's honestly easier with less resources and like just starting out because you have fewer options. Like if you had the knowledge you had today, dude, and then you tried to start out, you'd be like, you wouldn't know what to do. Like you wouldn't know what to start with.
So I guess it's like, oh, if you only are able to put 3.5% down from the FHA loan,
do
it's
it.
like you can only get these single family houses. You're just gonna underwrite single family houses with 3.5% down, and then figure out how much rent is gonna come in and what type of expenses are you gonna have.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, just starting out, just do whatever you can to start. Like, it's better to do something than nothing. Like, and most people's problem is the first one and getting started. Like, it's not knowledge. Like, dude, there's people that know like so much about real estate from like all the books and everything, but don't own any properties. Like, it's like just buy one.
So, what caused you to, I guess, take that action?
Dude, again, it was just like the plan to not have to have a job, like have the option to work, and like figuring out how to do that. And then just seeing all the people who did it, like if you like see what they did, like they lay out all the steps for you. So it's just trying to repeat that. Whether that be like you can do it with stocks. Like I was just putting everything in the S&P 500 and it's like that would have worked. It would have took longer, or you make more over time and invest more, but like it works. Like,
Today, Trevor and I were at lunch with this like 60-year-old dude who's been in real estate for like the last 30 to 35 years. And it was crazy because it was like Trevor and I were just reflecting on this guy and his life story and which he has shared with us. And it's literally not super well connected with anybody. Had to figure out the entire real estate game on his own. Don't know these different creative strategies. He was just buying houses. And he stopped buying for like 20 years.
Dude, he stopped buying 20 years ago. Yeah, he could have had so many.
He had 100 units at one point.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest catalysts was him like, cassette tapes and TV infomercials.
Yeah.
It was like $300 worth of education.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would be like, oh, that's a scam.
Dude. He said he bought a cassette tape for $300 and it told him how to buy houses. And
he split it with 5 people.
With 5 people because he didn't want to spend the $300. Bro, the craziest story. So, because we'll cold call on deals and like write letters and do all that. I wrote a letter to all these owners. This lady calls me back, and like in the letter, I just say like, hey, I just want to hear how you got started and like hear your story because I was just trying to learn. This lady calls me and I ask her how she got started. She was like 80 at this point, owned like 20 mil worth of real estate, like a single lady. She moved here as a maid, didn't speak English. She bought a book that was called like How to Become a Millionaire with Real Estate. And she's like, I just read the book and did what it said. And she didn't speak English, made below minimum wage. And she turned that to like, she's like, I just did what the book said. Like,
what were the main things that the book said? Did you ever?
Dude, I don't remember at this point. Okay. Like, because I was just trying to buy her stuff too. But like it was cool to hear. Like she shared the whole story. I was asking her questions. But there's like that's not like uncommon. Like there's tons of people. Like I had like 5 people respond to the letter, and they all had the same story. It's just different books and different things. But they're like, I just read one book and then did it.
It's crazy because we're gonna be in that like 60-year-old guy's shoes in like the next 35, 40 years or whatever, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh, how did you guys get started?" It's literally gonna be the same exact story.
I listen to Bigger Pockets. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, what's a podcast?
And then it's gonna be like AI and flying saucers in the future, and then we're just gonna be like, "What the hell is a podcast?" Because everything now is like you could be on Steve Harvey's show, and they will have already reincarnated Steve Harvey, and they're just like wearing the goggles, and they're just like in his studio. It's like, what do you mean you guys listen to podcasts? You guys just weren't there?
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah. It's going to be a different world someday. And then we're going to sound like major old timers if we're not just totally obliterated by AI.
Dude, but you're going to be doing the same stuff. Like, you'll keep up with it because you're
That's true.
constantly integrating. You're not going to be like those dudes who just like let it go. Like, there's dudes who stay up with it.
Have you ever met an old guy that is actually good at using the computer? Like, if somebody is actually like a lifelong learner, sure, but then it's just so far-fetched in some ways because it's like they go from doing pen, paper for everything, books, everything, and then you're telling me now everything's on the computer and you can send this email out and communicate with whoever you want, and now you have an iPhone. It's like, I mean, you meet a lot of old investors and stuff like that. Do any of them seem sharp or have proven themselves sharp in that adaptation?
What do you consider old?
Dude, like 60 plus, 70 plus.
Dude, there's some of them that are like sharp and probably doing all that. I don't know if they're using AI. Dude, but the dudes who are that old, like, we don't have the option to talk to them because they like grew like so like they're so wealthy, like, you know, like getting connected with the dude, like it's way easier like to get connected with those dudes who are worth like whatever 5 to 15 mil that aren't doing it because like
they're running so
if
slow.
they were, dude, they would be way wealthier.
Yeah, it's interesting. So back to your story, I'm curious why you chose engineering.
That was just what I was told to go do. Like, I was just good at math. So then I was like, they're like, I guess you'll be an engineer. I was like, okay. Like, dude, like I wasn't at the point where I was thinking about it. It was just on the path of like, your family tells you you're going to college and like doing this. So I was like, I guess that's what I'm doing. I guess I'll get a job and like do all that till I started thinking about stuff once I like actually discovered podcasts and I saw like, oh, people are doing like not 9-to-5 jobs and like there's other options. Like, so like the first thing, like I didn't even know podcasts existed till I was like a senior in college and like heard my first one and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like these people are doing like stuff that I haven't heard of. And that like opened my mind to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my plan was, I didn't really have one. I was just following along with everyone else, like doing what most people do, just going to school.
Just flowing with life.
Yeah. Like
do what everyone else is doing that's around you.
Yeah. I mean, college was fun still. Like you'd work like homework for like 2 hours a day and then you'd work a little bit and then go mess around for the rest.
Yeah.
Like, but like I was thinking like if I knew what you knew or you're buying houses in college, like I was like,
yeah,
holy shit. Like I thought I started young.
Yeah. It's like we're doing a lot of random things and my friends are just like all confused, like what is going on? It really like disrupted the pattern of what was normal. Like just me buying houses or me just hanging out with these people and talk about like so obscure topics that even their parents don't have any clue what is going on.
And that's the thing too, because like once I got into it, you start like nonstop talking about it because you're like, this is crazy. Like, how do people not like? How's everyone not doing this? And people just don't care about like real estate or finance or anything. Like, there's very few amount of people.
Yeah.
So like, you find people that are like you guys who are into it, and then you click with them.
How did that affect your relationships once like you started talking about these things that you were super interested about, and all of a sudden like everything else that was your previous life was not as interesting to you anymore?
Yeah, you just kind of move away from it, honestly. Like, I still have all those same friends, like, close with them, but it's just, like, you don't relate the same. Like, you're just doing such different things, and they just don't care about, like, that stuff. And you're, like, most of them are just kind of doing, like, what I was doing. Like, you're doing the same thing every single day. Like, this year is the same as the next. Like, not much is changing. And, like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, just do whatever you want. But, like, I just didn't want to do that. Like, you probably see the same thing, too. Like, you just kind of grow apart. You make new friends, but you still have the old ones still. Like, they're still all good people. Like, I like them all. Yeah. You just don't hang out with them as much because we're not doing the same stuff.
How did your family react to when they found out?
Dude, when you're like, because I was like 21, 22 when I was buying that first one. They're like, you're buying a house? Like, and I was trying to explain like how I'm going to rent out the rooms. And they're like super confused. Like, you're going to rent out rooms? Like, what do you mean? So they didn't want me to, or they like they weren't a fan of it. They just couldn't comprehend it. And I just kind of was like, all right, well, I don't need them to do it. Like I had enough money at that point, because it's like 3% down, 3.5, like 14 grand. Like, and I was making like 52 to start or something. So saving enough like pretty easily for that.
Yeah.
So what other things do you like to do that challenge you?
Oh, yeah. All those physical challenges we've talked about. So like I've tried like the marathons, like pull-up challenges, like all the stuff David Goggins says, like the 4x4x48. You hit that too, right?
I never did.
Oh, you never did it?
Dude.
Oh, we were supposed to, weren't we?
Yeah.
We should have done it.
What happened was after I got back from Oregon, I was really inspired. So I just woke up one morning and I was like, let me just run 10 miles.
I saw that. Yeah.
So, dude, I sent you a video.
Sent me a video, yeah.
So I ran 10 miles and then I just wrecked my knee.
Bro, yeah, you can't do it like that. So, dude, the first thing I tried was like same type of thing. I heard of this thing called the Calendar Club. So you do like for every mile, like every day of the week or month, you hit the mile. So day 1 mile, then 2, then 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
So like I hadn't ran, and I was like, oh, that's sick. Let me try that. And I think that was during COVID, because like gyms were closed or whatever. Like I got to like day 20 and then got injured. And like, it was like, man, that was a terrible idea. But like the next time I did it, when I built up all the challenges, like I started small and like just kept stacking it and would hit stuff every week. So like I hit like a triathlon, like the sprint ones where it's super small and like small stuff like that, run like 5 miles and like would frequently run. And then I looked out my window when I lived downtown in Salem, and they were doing like a half Ironman thing, like outside.
Oh, sick.
Dude, yeah. And I was like, that looks sick. I like Google what the distances are, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. Like look up when the next ones are, and they're like so long away. I was like, I don't want to wait that long. Mm-hmm. So then that was like a Wednesday, and then I just bought a bunch of Gatorades and shit, and then planned to do it on Saturday. But that shit took so long, dude. I had like a mountain bike, like none of the proper gear.
Is this a 70.3?
No. So this like started all that. So I hit the half Ironman thing, like finished it, but it took forever. Like it was hard, and I wasn't a good swimmer. And then I like tried doing swimming, got it up to like 2 miles I could do. Then I hit like a half marathon. And then you guys went to the mountains, not these mountains, but there's like 3 mountains in Oregon. So I like ran up one, ran to the next, ran to the other, and like 4x4x48 with the Goggins thing. And I tried his pull-up challenges, and then I did the 70.3 thing. So the Everesting, you try to do 29,029 feet of elevation gain, equal to Everest. And I was trying to like, you know who Jesse Itzler is? You know, yeah.
Yeah, it's Sarah Blakely's husband.
Yeah. So like they host this event called Everesting, and the dude, he does it with his Colin O'Brady, and he's in Oregon. And I like just listened to it on a podcast, and I was like, that's sick. They hike up, gondola down.
Oh,
yeah. So to do the equivalent like elevation hiking of Everest. So I like called all the ski resorts, and I was trying to like see what it would take to do it, and all of them were like, no, you're not doing that. Like,
would you have paid like $300?
Bro, well, I had it set up to like, I had enough people I thought would be interested where you charge them enough to cover the cost, right? And I had no clue, but I was just like trying to set it up. And I got a hold of like the Hood to Coast people in Oregon who like do a race from Mount Hood to the Oregon coast, which is like kind of like halfway across the state or whatever. And I called them, and they like loved the idea. Like, that's sick. And I was like, okay, like, can we do it like this year and do all this? Like, dude, that takes planning and all this stuff. So I'm like, I'm trying to do it now.
Like tomorrow.
Bro, so I found a mountain. Like I just looked on like All Trails, found a mountain that I thought was a good grade. It was like a hill. It was like 700 feet, 800 feet of elevation. Mm-hmm. And then I just hit it all the way up and down. I had no ski lift, so I was like, I guess I'll run down and hike up. Wow. Bro, it took like 36 hours of going just continual. It was like, it ended up being like 70 miles and then the 29,000 feet of elevation.
Jeez. 36 hours straight?
Yeah. So I stopped at one point because it was like pitch black, middle of the dark. And I was doing it in Eugene in Oregon, which is like a wooded area kind of. And there's like a cougar. I don't know what cougar, cat, or some sort of animal is like in the dark. I had my headlamp on and see its eyes just sitting in the trail. And I'm like, oh shit, like kind of keep going past, finish my lap. And then I come down and I see it kind of over here, like looking at me still. I'm like, oh, I'm taking a break. Like I'm killing my car, bro. I'm scared. So I went in my car for like 3 hours. At that point, it was like, I don't know, like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something. So I waited till sunrise and then went back out. But yeah, so other than that, it was straight. But I would see people like, because I started on like a Friday morning or Saturday morning, there was people like hiking it one day, and I was still going the next day. And they're like, oh, you came back? I was like, man, I've been going like since yesterday when you saw me.
what does doing like these excruciating, painful, mentally challenging activities do for you?
I mean, I just wanted to see if I could do it. Honestly, like it's the same as real estate. Like you see people doing it, you're like, I want to try that. Like same kind of idea, but I just kind of wanted to push my limits at that point and see what I could do. And I worked up to that, right? So I hit like a half marathon before that, and like that was the hardest thing I'd ever done up to that point. And I didn't think I could run that. And then I like kept building upon it over time. And then I stopped running completely at one point and then got out of shape again. But
So what's even harder than what you've already done? Describe something.
Dude, the hardest thing I tried to do was run 100 miles, but I tried to do it where you go 4 miles every hour, and then like if you go over the hour, you're done. So like if you run, 4 miles in 40 minutes, you have 20 minutes to rest. And like that was hard because like by the time you're like in the 40 range or 30 range even, like you're pausing every single time, and you sit down, get a snack, and you're like, fuck, I gotta get back up again. Like it's raining. Like at that point it was just cold and raining. Get back up, go back out, and it's just like sit back down, fall asleep for 5 minutes, and that was the hardest thing by far. Like I think that would have been easier to like continually go. Just the stopping of it like made it like hard. So I failed that thing. Like I made it to like I was trying to get to the 100, and it would have taken like 24, 25 hours, and I made it to like somewhere between like 40 to 50.
Wow, so that would have been like 25 rounds,
dude. Yeah.
So it's like every 1 hour on the hour, 4 miles.
Dude.
What?
Bro, people thought I was crazy. Like I picked this like school to do it at because they had this track around. No. It was like the perfect like distance. And they had all the kids' soccer games going at that time. So I was there for like like whatever, 12 hours, and I was just going. And people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to go to 100 miles. And they're just like, what?
Were you eating during that time?
Oh, yeah. I ran out of food, though, and then I would, like, be on my phone, like, ordering Chipotle delivery to drop it off at my car. And, like, But, wow. I would eat. What did I eat? Like, I just bought whatever foods. Like, that's the thing, like, I didn't know anything about was nutrition, like, and getting electrolytes. So, like, the first, like, half marathon I tried, I didn't know what electrolytes were. And I, like, trained for it and did, like, proper training and everything. Made it to, like, 11 miles and then just, like, was gassed. Like I didn't know why.
In a marathon?
Half marathon. I've tried one marathon, but that was like same type of thing. Like me and my buddy were like, hey, you want to try a marathon this weekend? And
so if you were to do a half marathon again, would you like bring some sort of snack on the way?
Yeah, like the Gatorade chews I started taking that thing, like stuff like that. That helps a lot.
Interesting.
Dude, half marathon's too small to have food. You're just gonna run it all the way through.
Bro, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but like, no, well they say at least with Ironmans that you should be eating, and it's like the same thing basically in terms of just cardio.
I think it's like 100 calories an hour or something.
No, it's actually 200.
200? Okay.
Well, I guess it's dependent on the person, but it's 200 every hour. Yeah,
and I don't know the proper way to do any of this. I was just like, I was just going for it. I was like, that looks cool. Let me try.
It's fun. We're doing a half marathon
September 30th.
September 30th, and then I would like to do a marathon. Dude, I think it's November 19th.
Yeah, the marathon is that was like, I did that one in like 4. I was trying to do the half in like under an hour and a half, but like the marathon was so hard because just on the road it's so boring. Like it just sucks.
My goal is to break 3 hours, but
let's go to Boston,
dude. That's so fast. Like
I'm not in that shape at all, but that's my goal at least. It's 6:50 pace
for this one coming up.
No. Well, yeah. So I think like. I'm just going to try and do the half marathon at 6:50 pace. And then depending on how that goes, then I'll try and double that.
So the tip for that, because I was trying to do the half in an hour and a half, so same pace. The tip is to not, like, you're going to get too excited at the beginning and like go way too fast, dude. I was looking at my pace and I was killing my pace. I'm like, dude, I'm going to crush this time. And I think that's why I ran out of like electrolytes or whatever.
Yeah, you ran out of gas.
Yeah, because I was just like killing the time and then all of a sudden just done.
Dude, there's just something about running in a pack or running in a crowd that just boosts your adrenaline to the point that it doesn't even feel like you're running fast at all, and you're just like blazing.
Really?
And you're just going for like you're probably good for like 2, 3, 4 miles. Then the adrenaline wears off, and all of a sudden you're getting scorched. It's just like wiped out by your own body. It's like telling you, you're not that guy.
You're not that guy.
And then it's just like, you're right. You got to start off running like your 7:20 pace that you've been training. like regularly that you can run 720 pace for like 8 miles straight without stopping. And then once you get through like that halfway part, 75% part, then you turn on the jets and try to go for your time, you know? Like you want to be able to go for your time by turning up your speed towards the latter part. And then now it's just like, well, I got this much time in order to make it happen, and I have this much energy. Versus you already spent all your energy through like 75% of the race, and it's like, I really hope I have enough time to get through this last 25%. It's like, that's why they say finish strong. Yeah.
Well, dude, so the fitness stuff kind of relates to real estate, because like both of them, like the similarities are they compound over time. So like the fitness stuff, like when I got worked up to like a 2-mile swim, like not fast or anything, but the first time I tried to do like swim, bro, I swam across the length of the pool one time. Like, bro, like I was like, holy shit, I'm gassed. Like, and then I built that up to like 2 miles. I don't even remember how many lengths that is, but a crazy amount. But it's the same thing for buying deals. Like first house, bro, versus like just stacking however many units you get to. Yeah. That's insane. Like it's just as you keep doing it, it compounds.
So what are some things that are still on your bucket list that you want to accomplish, or is it kind of a year by year thing for you?
It's been year by year so far, because a lot of that stuff, like it took a couple of years to get to, like the 3 mountain thing, when I like, because that was like 30,000 feet and like, I don't know, 32 miles. Like you would go up one, run like 6 miles to the next and do all that. Like that took like 3 years to hit, or like 2 years. Like I failed it twice before making it all the way. I think 100 miles would be cool still, but like I said, I stopped exercising. So right now I'm trying to like work it back up to get back in shape. But I don't know. I got to sit down and think about it, honestly, because like I realized not having like the target set, like you just don't do anything if you don't have a target set. Like I need like something like a distance out that I'm working towards.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's way better.
Like that's exactly how I operate. I wasn't really consistently working out for a while, and I like wanted to do something like a savage race or something like that, but none of it sounded difficult enough where I knew I was actually going to train for it. So then I did the sprint triathlon. Yeah. And then now I'm doing the Olympic, and then I want to do a half marathon.
Oh, you're doing the full, like the Olympic?
Yeah, it's like...
Oh, that's like the 20... Is that a marathon running or a half marathon?
No. It's not even close to that. It's like 0.9 mile swim, 23-mile bike ride, and then 6-mile run. Okay, so it's really not that crazy. Yeah. And then I want to do the half marathon, the marathon, and then next year I want to do a half Ironman and then an Ironman. And then I want to do a 50-miler, and then I want to do a 100-miler.
Yeah. When do you want to do all those by?
I mean, so the main thing is it just depends how the half marathon and the marathon go. And then next year I definitely at least want to do a half Ironman. Yeah. And then depending on how that half Ironman goes, then I'll do a full Ironman. And that would probably be next year. And then the year after that would be like the ultra marathons. Yeah. But
dude, the half Ironman, that took like, I want to say like 8 hours, bro, because I was on a mountain bike. Yeah, dude, so like the biking took twice as long. And it was like 100 and something outside. Dude, like my other times weren't bad, but like the biking time took like 4 to 5 hours, which is like just super long.
Yeah, that's funny. When I did the sprint triathlon, I was like 8th out of the water out of maybe like 50 people or whatever. So I was like,
that's pretty good.
I was doing pretty good. Yeah. And then I got to the bike. And I probably got passed by like 30 people. I passed 2 people and they passed me back. And I was looking up the times and it was my bike.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you don't realize. Yeah. Because I tried to do, like one of the other things too, I was trying to do like a 50-mile ride. And dude, I was just assuming like, I don't know, you ride a bike at like 25 miles an hour or something. Not even close. I started Googling like, what do like the actual bikers ride? It's like 22 miles per hour, like with their like expensive ass bikes. Yeah. So I was like, I started my ride. I passed one of those speed check things and I was going downhill. I hit 13 miles an hour. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to take way longer than I thought.
You're like half of what you anticipated.
Bro, yeah.
You know, I felt super inspired this past week. I guess we were just sitting on like my deck eating food with some friends from church. And we were just like, yo, why don't we do like the Savage Race or the half marathon or a marathon this year? And then it was like a group of us wanting to do it. I think maybe 4 or 5 of us actually were like, we're going to do the half marathon.
Yeah.
We're going to sign up for it. So it's like, I don't think anyone has actually signed up for it unless Josh is the only one that has. But I'm going to sign up for it. I'm going to go sign up for it right after this.
Dude, that's what you'll find. Like, most people don't. Because most of that stuff I tried, like, people are always like, oh, dude, I'll do that too. Like, I'm down. I'll text them like, hey, man, like, you ready? You free this day? And they're like, yeah. And they don't show up and they're not like,
that's
I don't want
crazy.
to do it. There's like a few people who have tried a few things and then they'll like stop partway through. I have like one friend who tried a few things with me. He's like, I'm not going to do the full thing, but he's like, I'll start it. Mm-hmm. So like, there's a few people, but most people don't want to.
So what was it like with the 3 mountains failing that twice?
Dude,
and how did you get home? Because I feel like if you failed it, you'd be like unable to even drive.
Yeah. So the first one, I did it with 2 buddies. And then they were just gassed. We made it up to the second one and they were dying. They made it back down and we were away from our car. Mm-hmm. And we had the car parked at the beginning and the car parked at the end. So we didn't expect to end in the middle. So like I was feeling decent. So I ran back and I got the car and then went and got them. And then I tried it again. And I made it to the last one. And the last one, like it's like you hit like 6,000 feet on the first and then maybe like 5 on the next, and the last one's only like 3 or something like that, so it's like nothing. It's the easiest one. And I was going up it, like the last stretch I just had to go up it and back down, and bro, I started going up it and just like same thing, like electrolytes or whatever, just gassed and like sat down and like gave up on it. Like I was pissed at myself when I did it, so I was like, fuck, I gotta try it again. But yeah, so that time just was gassed, and the next time I did it, like I just went by myself that time, and I just like, oh, I guess I gotta make it. But I was more prepared too, because I learned like, oh, I didn't have this, I didn't have these Gatorades, so on my way there I'd go drop all, like I think I drink like Body Armors or whatever, and I'd drop them at like the halfway point, so I made sure I had enough stuff.
Yeah, that's smart.
Dude, I didn't know anyone that does any of that, like running or anything, because I grew up like playing basketball and then played college basketball for a little bit, and I don't know anyone that runs or does any of that stuff, so I was just like just going for it.
Dude, you should like looked up Jesse Itzler's crew or whoever he hangs out with and just try to work through the degrees of separation until you find like his lowest tier dude who's still like tight with the dude, and then just work your way in. He's like, yo, now I'm running with Jesse Itzler, guys.
No, they just inspired me to do it though, because they're just like motivational speakers and they're doing that stuff. So I was like, I guess that's what successful people do. Like, I'll try it.
How do you think your basketball career impacted what you do today?
Dude, so the biggest thing I learned from that was discipline, because dude, I sucked at basketball, so like I wanted to like be decent, because that's all, I don't know, for whatever reason I liked it. So when I was a kid, from like 3rd grade all the way through college, dude, I played like almost never missed a day, but I would do a routine where I made X amount of shots from every single spot, and would record how long I practiced every day in a notebook, dude, from like 3rd grade to like, and I would only miss like if we had to travel for a game day and it like took all day. So like I just like was disciplined from that. And then like same thing for when you're doing real estate and like learning any skill, you like, if you have discipline, you can kind of learn whatever. Yeah. So I don't know why I did it. Like, dude, I would do like eat no candy, no sugar, because I like read a book when I was in like 4th grade that like you'll be better at sports if you don't drink soda. So I was like, okay, like, I guess I won't do that.
Who's the dude that climbed that Mount Cap in Yosemite?
Alex Honnold.
Alex Honnold.
Oh.
Alex Honnold. He wrote down like every single move. He like remember. Yeah. Did you ever watch that movie, Free Solo?
No, I never did.
Oh, you gotta watch Free Solo, dude. It's sick.
Bro, I didn't have Wi-Fi for a long time.
Now you
didn't watch Netflix.
Dude, that's a movie worth watching if you want. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's something you may be interested in. But what Alex Honnold was doing was what you were talking about in terms of like taking notes down. How could you improve? Or like he reflected on doing that climb at Mount Cap in Yosemite. And he would do it on rope, and then he would remember exactly where he put his foot on what rock and where he put his hand. And I was like, dude, that's crazy that somebody would try to memorize their entire route. Yeah. But if you cared about it enough, why would you?
I mean, you also need to if you're gonna free solo. It's pretty like no rope. It's pretty important that you know every single move.
Yeah. So you basically need to create a formula. And you need to create like a methodology in order to accomplish that. I just realized that. I was just like, are there things that I should be writing in my life in order to remember how I made this mistake? So remember, when this happens, don't do this.
Yeah.
Try to go this route and try to be disciplined as much as you can, because our human nature will try to lead us back to our old ways. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like tracking your metrics, like what you guys do in all your business stuff. Like if you have all the data and like the information to what was working, like you can kind of look back and compare it. So like I used to record like the calories and weights and all that stuff too. And you can go back and look at all of it.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about like, dude, it's funny how Brandon is doing like the better life thing. It's just like, how do we live a better life?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about like, what are the metrics in your life that you need to make sure you hit in order to know that you're living that better life?
Yeah. No, I probably should though. Like, I mean, you got your basic ones like wealth, like health, family, friends.
Sure, but what do you care about specifically? What's on your board?
Yeah, I've thought about it a little differently. Like I was trying to think about like what I like to spend my time doing and like what you need in every activity. And it's like you need a community and you need like an unlimited growth potential and like access to do it. So like when you play basketball, like you have a bunch of other people playing, you can go practice wherever and then you can get as good as you want. With real estate, like we have all these investors, all this stuff. You have all the information available to you and you can take it as far as you want. And like everything that I've learned how to do has kind of had those three things. And that's, I don't know. That's not answering your question at all, but that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, no. I mean, those are ways to answer that question. I think it's just like personally, when I define out the things that make a better life, like you said, it's like that health, like how am I making money? Well, how do I, exercise my creative juices? It's like, who am I hanging out around, and do I hang out around them enough? I think that's one of the big things. It's not. I think that's like one of the things that are most easy. It's just like, oh, if I think the number one thing people say is like, oh, who do you hang around?
Yeah, the 5 people.
The 5 people. You're basically the average of those 5 people, and I think the biggest metric in my life is, oh, who are the top 5 people that I spend my time around? Yeah, and that's literally how my life becomes. Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes it could be really scary. It's like, dude, I got that one guy in my life. I'm not saying to anybody.
You got Josh,
like, this is the one guy. Like, this freaking guy. It's like, he's making me... Nah, it's like, nah. He's not making me do nothing. Yeah.
Dude, but the cool thing with that is because we have the internet and books and all that, so you can kind of pick like they don't have to be like physically there. Like if you're listening to like Brandon like on a podcast for X amount of hours, like when you're listening to Bigger Pockets, that's like kind of becomes one of those people you're hanging out with. So,
yeah, that's outside of the box. I don't really think about it like that. I'm just thinking like people that I physically spend time around. I think most people would think like that as well, but that's really true, really accurate. It's like if you like one specific podcast or like 3 podcasts that you cycle through, and this is just like every week thing, and you may spend 3 days listening to all those podcasts, like that's the way that you think. You basically used media in order to change your beliefs and thinking.
Yeah, it's super influential. Like, dude, we were talking about it, like how the culture is like you hate jobs or like quit your job, and that's the whole culture. And it's like, and you made me think about it because like that was my mindset, because that's what everyone in the space says is like, how do you quit your job? Working sucks. And you're like, how are you supposed to run a company and have employees if you tell everyone working sucks?
Yeah, so like, dude, that was a huge mindset shift. And what Trevor's talking about is, Stephanie Betters, we came over to her house and she was just talking to us, telling us a lot of real estate investors are aiming for financial independence, retire early, and they're shooting to, buy all these rentals, do these flips, pocket this amount of money, and then just F you to like everything else in their life and just go run off into the sunset, drink Mai Tais on the beach. But then like, if you become that guy and then you just did all your work up front and then just like was lazy for the rest of your life, what kind of life are you inspiring others to live? Especially if you're trying to be a leader to those people. Yeah. And it's just like, why would you do something that you hate? Like with the guy that we were hanging out with today, it's just like you're saying, Trevor, is like, this guy hates real estate. This guy, what was it? What were you saying?
Dude, he built up this portfolio. he self-manages it all. Is kind of like he's a cool dude, but he like built up this thing, could have all this freedom if he ran it better, but he's making it super shitty because he's there doing all the work, like just bitching about it the whole time. Like I don't know what his reason for doing it was. Like, why would you build all that up if you're not going to take advantage of the pros of it? Like he could have created all the time freedom, had all the money, like done all this stuff, but like I don't know why he was doing it. Like he just had another shitty job. Like he wasn't capitalizing on any of it. And he was worth like, I don't know, we were like $5 million of free and clear property, but just like bitching about everything. Like, dude, I don't know why.
Yeah, and it's like another way that you could spin that to people in which you're working around is like, yeah, I'm working to create freedom, but create options. And I want the option to be able to work here as freely as I want, be able to push the limits, be able to innovate, to inspire. And I want you guys to all be after the same thing that I'm after. And it's just like, I want to create that type of culture where people are just like, let's all pursue freedom so that we can have options and we choose to be here, you know? And I think that's really inspiring, where it's just like, people will work harder for things that they truly believe in and they want to pour their heart and soul into, rather than I'm obligated in order to get this paycheck, in order to move my life forward. And this is not really what I want to do in the end game anyways. Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. But you see that a lot because those dudes just like, I don't know, they're just chugging along and don't like step back and think about it, and they just keep buying more properties, and then they just create more problems for themselves because they're just like self-managing it, but they don't want to go do the work, but they kind of have to. Yeah. And then they have all this stuff, and then it's like they just spend all their time doing that and like don't utilize any of it.
Yeah. When we got dinner last night, you mentioned something about how your girlfriend and you use like EOS in your relationship. And
I said she uses it. She implements it.
He's just a cog.
How has that been different compared to the other relationships you've been in? And like, do you think it increases, I guess, does it make the relationship better?
Yeah, because you're more intentional and you're thinking about things, right? So like with EOS, you're like setting time to step back, like set goals, make sure everyone's on the same page, and like do all that versus just going along with it. You can take it too far, I think, with a relationship where you're like analyzing each other too much. So that's where I was like, but yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of that stuff that works with business works in friendships and all sorts of stuff, because a lot of it is just about being intentional and like thinking about things. So I mean, it's helpful for a lot of things, but I think you can take it too far and like worry about some stuff too much.
So what are some rocks that you guys have?
We were doing one where we're learning about each other. So like sharing books, like I'm reading a book about whatever she's into, and then I pick a book, doing that. We set a few trips. I should know these better too. Did she set up? She uses Notion. I use Notion, and she built the whole thing with all our rocks on Notion and whatnot. I gotta check it more because I have tasks she assigned me on there doing stuff, bro. Like stuff to take care around the house, but I'm not great at checking it.
That's so funny.
But there's some more in there too. But we start out with like simple. Oh, then it was because we're both busy, so it was like making sure we spend time together still. So it's like, hey, we're gonna each plan one date night every month, or like one trip or one thing. So it's like pretty simple stuff, but it's just trying to be more intentional with things that we both want.
Yeah,
that's sick. I'm like thinking about how I can go to my friends that I want to continue to, move the needle forward in terms of those friendships. And I'm just like, do I go to them and tell them, hey, I want to run an L10? Like, do I need their buy-in, or do I just run it? And it's just like, or I guess it has to be a two-sided thing. We got to work at this together, guys. Yeah. So I got this book, read it.
You give them EOS.
And it's like, yo, this friendship's on EOS now. Like, I don't know what kind of operating system you were operating on, but it's not working. Like, we actually need a real system.
Yeah.
And then eventually my next business idea will be a friendship operating system.
Dude, you could probably, just take EOS and replace business with friendship, and then there you go.
If I started running a friendship operating system business, I feel like really wealthy people will pay me money for that.
Dude, and then you just hire all your VAs to run it, and you're set.
Yeah, just holding people accountable, or create a whole software. Dude, cut that out, okay? It's like, no. Maybe it's a good idea. Anything could be a good idea, but it's about the execution. What are some of your ideas that maybe it didn't survive execution, but it was like you thought it was a really great idea?
Trying to do value add properties that I didn't know how to do. That was one. We've talked about that. I haven't had that many ideas. Honestly, I've been learning a lot from guys like you, because I'm at the point where I need to like set more systems. Like started implementing EOS and like have seen how much it changes.
Yeah.
But like seeing how you're actually running stuff, because you're a few steps ahead with actually having like, I don't have employees and all that stuff. Like, so I need like, that's something I'm thinking about more. I haven't like given it a ton of thought, just learning. And then like, cause my girlfriend runs the business too. So I get to watch her and what she's doing. So I've just been kind of absorbing everything and trying to figure out what to do. Because now it's like, I'm at the point, how I mentioned, like someone starting out with information overload. It's hard to like decide which direction. So now I'm in the space where I see all these people doing all this different stuff and it all works. It's like, I have to think, what do I want to do? Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. And that's what you were talking about a lot, is like having a mission and a purpose. Like at first, like it's just like, all right, I want financial independence. Then it's like, all right, I want $1 million net worth. It's like, all right, I want 100 units. And it's just like a moving goalpost. And every time you hit it, you feel no different. Yeah. So it's like, you're talking about like, you want to, go affect X amount of people's lives and create this for them. Like, so that's something I was like taking notes on when we were talking, and like, I need to go home and like think about this, because then it's like, you have a reason for showing up and doing stuff. Right now, I've just been it's just kind of fun doing deals.
Yeah. Would you describe yourself as, between the two of being a visionary and integrator, which one do you fall more in alignment with?
Bro, so I thought I was an integrator, but I'm told I'm a visionary. So like, I've been.
Who told you were a visionary?
So Adrian told me I was a visionary. But for some reason, like I fit myself, and I was like, oh, I'm the integrator, and she's like, what are you talking about? Like,
maybe she's just too good of an integrator. She's just like,
well, she's a visionary too. So she was like, telling me. But
why did she say that?
I don't know, because I'm still like learning EOS and how everything works. Like visionary, you come up with the idea, right? And the integrator is like, you come up with the high level, and the integrator runs it all. But I don't know. I guess she thinks I have more ideas than I think I have. I don't know.
And then there's people like Perry who are both.
Yeah.
Dude. Perry the Asian platypus. That guy. I love that. I freaking love Perry Zhang, dude. But it's just so interesting. I was just like, yo, Perry. I don't know. So I was talking to him about his business. I was like, talking about the visionary integrator buckets. He was like, why are we limiting ourselves to like putting ourselves into a bucket? I was like, who told you that you are an integrator? Who told you that you can only be a visionary? Because this guy comes from an engineering background, and now he's like the CEO of like his own tech company, and he's just continuously spitballing ideas. Like, if you spend enough time on magic mushroom, no, I'm kidding. If you spend enough time thinking about it, you can come up with any idea under the sun, and you can just do that, and then eventually, just think about it some more, which ones actually make sense by doing whatever analysis you want, and then you put it into motion. And if you want to be organized, maybe it doesn't come naturally to you, but you could be organized.
Yeah, I think the integrator role is really just comes down to discipline. And I think that a lot of visionaries kind of use the visionary excuse so that they don't have to be disciplined and integrate things.
Dude, honestly, like when I was looking at the chart and the roles, I wanted to be a visionary because I was looking at it, I was like, it looks like a visionary does way less work, bro. You just mess around and you come up with ideas, and the integrator just goes and makes all the money. Like,
yeah, no, way to call me out on that, Josh.
Hey, I mean,
no, the visionary is
because
it's also the idea salesperson. It's the idea salesperson has to get buy-in from everybody else in the organization in order to put the idea into motion, that it's even worth the time to put it into motion.
Yeah, I don't really think that's a difficult thing to do, though. To get other people on board.
Have you ever heard a stupid idea, Josh?
Bro, I think it's, I don't know. I think it's harder.
But it's like, for the most part, okay, you have an idea. And then if you could relate to how that idea impacts other people positively, then most people would be on board with it. Like, so all you have to do is just have an idea and then make it unselfish and make it more about the other people and how, once again, it could impact them positively. And then that's really all you need to get people on board, is if it helps them and it helps people that they care about. And then to integrate it, all you need to do is just be disciplined enough to like make sure all your ducks are in a row and you have everything you need to complete that idea.
Yeah, but you can come up with an idea that you really don't care about, and you use that formula, and it's just like, yeah, I'm trying to put these things in place, trying to make people care about it, but then it's just like kind of artificially manipulating what you started with, and it's just like to the point that it's not really what you originally cared about, because maybe you're not being authentic to yourself. So there's a level to it. I don't know. Maybe that didn't really make sense, but in my head, I was just like,
well, what do you think you need to convince people to like follow after an idea? What are the fundamentals of that?
It definitely needs to serve other people and something that they align with, something that they can get on board, and it's just like, this is bigger than myself.
Yeah, that's definitely a key one. It has to be bigger than themselves, preferably lasting after their death, because that's kind of a big thing. Like if you know what you're working towards is going to end when you die, like it's not really that motivating. So if you have that and it impacts them positively, like
yeah,
you for the most part you get kind of morph almost any idea into that.
No, what I was saying was more so in alignment with like, okay, well, we want to help these hungry children in Africa, but it's like I have no connection to these hungry children in Africa. And sure, that may be really important to do, and there's a lot of important things that we can do in the world, but maybe because of like our own personal experiences and things that really like break our heart because we've seen it firsthand, then we could speak more personably at, you know, a first person perspective or point of view. So that was more so what I was saying, where it's just like, yeah, you could make a really important goal that is bigger than yourself, but you may not truly care about it because you don't have any perspective to tie it to.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I feel like for the most part, the ideas that you come up with, they don't just show up out of nowhere because of something you saw that you don't resonate with. For the most part, your ideas are like a reflection of the things that you've experienced.
Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna start your own company and leave Jesse, bro.
Nah.
Dude, stop letting him have ideas.
Dude. No, I'll go work at Josh's next company, bro. I'm trying to add as much value as I possibly can. Put me on the board. Say no.
So do you have any advice for someone that just got their engineering job and they're talking to all their coworkers and they're realizing like, oh, wait, that's going to be me?
I mean, the advice is just to think more about what you want to do, like step back, like out of the day-to-day activity of it and think about what you want to do. Because some people love that stuff. Like some people love engineering and you can make a ton of money being an engineer. Like it's a good job. Like it was pretty chill. Like no one's yelling at you. Like you make decent money. But it just comes down to like, what do you want to do? So like I would really think about it. And that's like not something anyone tells you to do. You just follow the path and no one tells you to think on your own. So like once you start to think on your own and think about what you want, then it's way easier to make decisions.
So how do you think on your own when you're only around people that I guess don't do that?
So I guess it's not even thinking on your own, but you're exploring new ideas, because nothing I've came up with is my own idea. Like I'm just copying other people, but it's like my own thought of I want to try that. And to do that, you have to see, like I'm not coming up with like I can go run this like a marathon on my own. Like I saw someone else do it. Like I didn't go buy this property on my own and figure out how to do it. I saw someone else do it. So it's opening up and like especially starting out, like you want to learn as much as possible and see all the stuff possible. So if you see something that you're interested in, I would say just start going for it, because you'll figure out really fast if you don't like it. And it doesn't hurt to start many things. Like the biggest step to starting out is like getting started. And then that's like the biggest detriment, like what you have, right, Jesse, is like you try to start so many things now because it helped you get started with what you have going now. But now if you keep doing that, you never finish, like continue building what you're working on. So it's really helpful starting out, but not as helpful once you get going.
Yeah.
What got you here is not going to get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some things that you are personally thinking about? What got you to where you are today? It's not going to get you to maybe where you want to be. Maybe like you don't know exactly where you want to be, but what are some immediate steps in the short term, near future that you want to implement in order to get to, you know, the next elevated level?
So I mean, I like what you have going on, where you have the whole culture and everything, like, and you know what service you're providing and what you're doing. So like, because I think of it, it's two different ways. Like you have active income and you have your passive income, like now money and future money. Like I kind of figured out like a base level of passive income and like future money with investments. Cause like I'm buying all of those deals on terms and they're not paying you day one, but it's like, it's real estate. It goes up over time. Your rents are increasing over time on a value add property. Like it's an investment. It takes a while. What I'm trying to figure out is like the day to day and how to do that. Cause I like helping people do deals and brokering's cool, but it's figuring out how to make now money doing something you like what you're doing, where you're going every day, you have the team and doing all that. So that's what I've been trying to work on. So like me and Dane, right? We started doing stuff and it's so scattered and unorganized. So it's cool seeing what you guys have and you have structure and like all that. And that's why we started using EOS to start thinking about it. So I don't know yet, but like talking to guys like you and then some other people I met a couple of days ago, like seeing what you're doing and thinking about it, like it just models like, oh, I should think about that too. Like I'm not going to do the same thing as you, but I'm going to ask the same questions and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
But so I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either. I think it changes all the time over time. Like you said, becomes like a moving goalpost per se. But when you're very intentional, like once you hit that goalpost and you're waiting to like shoot that next goal, like you're actually being intentional about it. It's like based off of what you have, your current resources and the knowledge that you built to get to this point, what is possible and who else could I help? Then it's just like you're not just moving the goalpost for the sake of accomplishing more. Yeah.
So I liked the thing you threw out where you were like, I'm trying to influence people's lives to help them achieve financial independence and like, you know, within my company and outside of like, cause that's cool. Cause like was my personal goal. And that's kind of what we do right now with helping people invest and like advise and do things like that. So like, that's one thing that was going through my mind of like, how do I do that in the best way possible where I can still make money doing it? Cause right now like I was saying, we do it for free just all the time. Like people will hit us up and we'll just sit down with them and like most people don't do anything with it, but like a few people do, like how I met Dane, where I'm like, here's how I bought these properties. Here's what I'd recommend you do. He calls me 2 months later. He's like, hey man, I got a 10-unit apartment. This dude owns nothing. Like not one property, bro. Just calls up, has no money. He calls up. He's like, hey man, I got this 10-unit apartment complex. Like, can you help me like do it? I did these first steps, but don't know where to go. And we're like, yeah, dude. Like, and that's like the same thing that happened with me when I did like my first like 16-unit. It's I sat down, like listened to Bigger Pockets. They taught me how to underwrite, did all that stuff. Met my mentor, who was not my mentor at that time, and like I just went to lunch with him. He gave me some tips. Here's how you find a deal. Here's what you can do. I showed him what I was doing, and then went and bought that 16-unit, and then called him back, and I was like, "Hey, thanks, man. Like your tips really work." But yeah, so that's super cool. Like they influenced me, helped me get to FI, and like super cool to pass that on. So I think if you can do that for a bunch of people, like that's fun.
Yeah. One of the things that Steve Trank said, and I believe he read this out of a book, might have been Rigging the Game, but I'm not sure. He said that he gave us all, like a bunch of exercises you can do, and the whole goal of all the exercises is to find out what you're passionate about.
Okay.
And kind of the way you do that is just write down every single task you do, and then give yourself a rating of like, I like to do it and I feel fulfilled. I'm good at doing it, but I don't feel fulfilled, and then I would never pay myself to do it.
Yeah.
And then kind of like look at I like to do it and I feel fulfilled, and kind of see what they have in common. And then for the most part, that's probably what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, if that's exactly what I'm passionate about, then how can I make money off doing that?
Yeah. No, I should do that. That'd be a good exercise. Cause like I already know like just doing deals is fun. Like, so I'm doing deals with, or like 4 people, like without getting paid and whatnot, but it's still fun. Like it's just fun to see people do deals.
Yeah. That's awesome. So if people want to get a hold of you, reach out to you, talk about real estate deals, learn more about you or what you want to do in the future, how do they reach out to you? Like, how can they find you?
I have an Instagram. It's thow5 or thow_5. Trevor Howard, one of those two. That's probably the best way. Yeah. Or email me, I guess. Email me.
Yeah. What if they want to buy some properties in Oregon?
If you want to buy some properties in Oregon, yeah, I mean, we can help you do that. We help people do Oregon, Washington, and all over that area. So yeah, reach out to me on Instagram or just email me at trevorhoward@comcast.net. And I will, yeah.
That's dope. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, bro. I really appreciate you being on the pod and spending the last 36 to 48 hours hanging with us. It's been awesome.
Dude, yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you.
All right, I hope you guys have an awesome week. Peace out.
Peace.